9 bells. Sounds terrible sometimes, but we'll get this whole thing figured out. I've got pictures coming in and out. I don't know. We'll figure it out though. Hang in there with me, audience. First and foremost, welcome back to the 2218's Attitude for Gratitude weekly live podcast. That whole live part is what I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me on. Tonight's going to be a little different. I had slotted in Jesse and Ashley to be on the show, but I got a call this morning that Ashley has COVID, and Jesse still did offer to come on the show, and I declined because the plan was to have them both on at the same time because we're going to talk about relationships and recovery and blah, blah, blah. Wherever it goes from there, it's nothing planned out. Just like any show, I should probably have some more structure and maybe it'd be a more interesting show at times. But the first thing as well is images. My image keeps popping up on here on a live video, and that's not how this is supposed to go. So I apologize if that happens here and there. That is not what's supposed to be happening. I need to get a professional in here and help figure this out with me because I know you guys all want to see my lovely face, but it just can't happen that way. My ego's already through the roof. So again, welcome back. 2218's Attitude for Gratitude weekly live podcast. That is where I'm having this podcast from, is 2218 First Avenue South. Please know anyone and everyone is welcome to come down here and find themselves in recovery. This building's been around. It's the longest. It's been around the longest for a continuously running Alano in the world. Like, it's nice to say in the world, but them are facts. Since they opened the doors here, it's been saving lives for for many of years. And I used to really share about this in the early days of the podcast, but for some reason I have this connection with 2218 over the whole COVID situation. This was truly one of the only facilities that never shut their doors during COVID. Matter of fact, this is one of the facilities that fought to keep them open. The people that were here, they're monumental in my book. A lot of them aren't here anymore. A lot of them do not come to 2218 anymore. They spread their wings, call it what you will. But there was a core group of people that really hunkered down and made sure this place stayed open. I mean, we're talking people that are putting in like 70 hours a week of just straight volunteering. And it's things like that have kept me coming back. And like, those were predecessors to me. So 2218 is they have a vision statement, and I read it every week. It's to be the premier Alano clubhouse serving the greater Twin Cities that offers support and strength to those who suffer from addiction and their families. And personally, me being part of this club, a member of this club, doing a podcast from this club, I get behind that statement because they are always trying to grow and, see over that next horizon of what's next. The core thing is recovery here, but this place has so many different levels for recovery. We're talking, that there's the AA here, there's NA here, there's CMA here, Al-Anon, young people in recovery, events and fundraisers and volunteering opportunities here. It's tons of stuff that goes on at 2218. And I have really been slacking on getting the links up here for anyone who is able to donate to 2218. I will be getting back into that hopefully next week. I've got plans to meet with someone who's more elevated on the technological side of things, because left to my own devices, I end up popping back up on screen, and this is supposed to be anonymous. So that should show you right there where I'm at with this whole thing. I've been having a tough time getting this podcast shared through Facebook. Ever since I got back from Arkansas, there's been some type of glitch in the system with people sharing it. So I've been suggesting people to use the YouTube. Right now, I put the link on my Facebook page to find this podcast through YouTube. Um, I pay for a streaming. I pay for a service so people are able to listen to it live. I know technically a podcast is pre-recorded conversation that gets played back. You know, people edit it and they make sure everything's tip top, and you can cut things out, like it says in the on the title. Shooting from the hip here, no script or no editing or no delay. So if I mess up, I have to deal with the consequences. But that's part of this whole thing. I don't. It was Lincoln. I don't. Someone said, if you don't lie, you don't have to remember things. Like I don't have to worry about things I say because if I just keep it, like the kids are saying, 100. Like if I don't BS, there's nothing I have to remember. It's my story. It's my situation, and if I keep it the same and just be pure on what I'm talking about, I have nothing to worry about. Earlier I was talking about my ego, and that sometimes still gets in the way, but it's what it is. So I want to talk about a few things coming up in the recovery community. But before I do that, if you are able to or you would like to become a member of 2218, come on down. I put my phone number in the comments section every week. You can reach out to me directly if you have questions about that. And also reach out to me if you're struggling. If you need some resources, if you're looking for meetings, I'm going to go over the meeting list here at 2218. But there's intergroup, there's NA. There's so many different outlets to find recovery, and I will do what I can to help guide you to another avenue of finding some recovery. I know what worked for me. I don't know what will work for you. I've got over 100 shows on in the library that you can find. I've gotten people on here who have found their recovery through church. Some people have found it through microdosing certain things. Some people have found it through just a Buddhist sense or a spiritual or transcendental meditation, cold turkey. We've heard about at least a dozen different methods that people have successfully found their happiness. And it's not for me to say it's wrong. I'm a conduit to the other side of this microphone. So your speakers, like I'm here to kind of push people along and tell them their stories and how they can find their happiness. I know what works for me. Like I said, we had someone on the show, I don't know, almost a year ago now, and he was on a few times named Ken R. And he really drove it home that fact that you have to have your own experience with this. Like, if you're looking for some recovery or a new way of living, that's awesome. But get to some meetings, get to some sober events or some recovery events, and go have some experiences. Nobody did the drugs for you. No one drank the alcohol for you. Like you had to go do that yourself. It's no different with this recovery shit. Like for me, I did see people in early recovery who's like, I want what they have, so I have to do what they did. But I still have to have my own experience with this in order to find what works for me. And I know I kind of went off on some tangent about that, but the longer I remain doing this thing of recovery, I'm realizing like I just got to keep going out and having my own experiences with this. I hear all these different ways of finding that your happiness or your peace or your serenity, and that's awesome. Like for me, I needed some guidance in early recovery until my head was clear enough where I could start making my own choices. I still question my choices. I go to Will Work for Recovery on Wednesdays, and like Paul's always talking about like these thoughts that come into his head. And you know what? Pastor Jeff does the same over at Serenity. Like talks, he shares about it. You know, this is a pastor with 18 years of recovery. He's talking about thinking about crack. Like that, the first time I heard a pastor talking about wanting to go pick up a brick of dope, I was like, shit, this is my new church. But that's serious. Like we get that shit off our chest. But here's the thing: my first thoughts. That doesn't mean shit. That means nothing. That doesn't mean I'm a bad guy because I think about a needle in heroin. because I drive by the liquor store. I'm like, I want to go in and get a fifth. Like, that doesn't make me a bad guy. I can't control what I think about. I can't control what pops into my head. I can control on what I do about those thoughts. Um, there's a kid named Kyle who him and Kenzie will be on the show here. I believe it's the first week, or maybe it's the last week of this month. I don't know. I'll next week I'll be going down the list of what our upcoming guests are. But like, he's good about that. He's reached out to me, and I know he reaches out to a ton of other people. He's part of that Wednesday men's meeting. It's a crosstalk at 5 o'clock because it's just a group of guys. It's not an AA and NA. It's just a group of guys in there holding each other accountable, and we network. We find our connections in that room. And Kyle does that. Like, he's reached out to me before, and he's like, Tim, I'm thinking about using. I don't want to use, but I'm scared because I've been thinking about it for weeks now, and now I'm like fantasizing about the process of getting the dope. And I don't want to go too deep into it because I'm gonna have him share about it. But what I'm getting at is he reached out about it. He shared about those thoughts he had, and we are not in control of what pops in our head. We are in control of what we do about those thoughts, or I am. That whole new wave play has taught me about the I statements. So if I say we, you, your, I'm making the assumption that you are thinking the same way I am, and I'm sorry about that. I work on that still to this day. So I jumped the gun here. We got Founders Day coming up. Founders Day is the business. It's like I don't want to say a mini Gopher State, but Founders Day it's held at the same place as Gopher State. Founders Day is more, you know what? I'll just talk about it. Founders Day is, it's November 26th. It's celebrating 82 years of Alcoholics Anonymous in the Upper Midwest, and honoring AA members with 1 year of sobriety. Register online at www.foundersdaymn.org. Here's the rundown of what it is. Saturday, November 26th, 9 a.m. registration opens. 10:30 a.m. there's a speaker, Sloan B. from Wisconsin. 12 p.m. there's a call-up meeting, a step 1, 2, and 3, an Al-Anon breakout meeting, a young people AA panel. 1 p.m. there's a history panel. At 2 p.m. AA call-up meeting, steps 1, 2, and 3. It's kind of the same as what they did at noon. And they kind of repeat this with different speakers. At 6 o'clock, there's the banquet. 7:30, there's a speaker, Harold L. from St. Louis. And if you're able to make it to Founders Day, go check it out. It's an experience. You don't even have to be in recovery to go to these events. Like, I know we have people who listen that some people are listening to this with a cocktail in their hand. Some people are listening to this with a joint in their other hand. I get it. Do you? It's not for me to tell you how to listen to this show. I've had someone from a job I worked at prior to this. Like, there was a group, like, they didn't tell me about it until like a month into it. They're like, like, we get together on Friday night. We listen to the show at so-and-so's house, and it's like drinking hour. I'm like, what? It didn't bug me, but they thought, you know what? Do you? It's not for me to tell you what you can and can't do or how you can listen to this show or whatever. If you turn on the radio, you turn on Facebook, YouTube, and you listen to this with an open mind, you'll get something of great value out of it. Whether it's just one little thing or a whole bunch, or you get a phone number through networking, or someone talks about a meeting that you go to, or you hear Rick and Jesse share about the 4-step workshop or whatever it is. If you get something out of this, I'm happy, and that's all good. So registration, $25. Registration requires and must be paid to attend Founders Day. Registration and banquet, limited banquet seating. The banquet begins at 6 p.m. This is $75. But let's see, banquet table for 8 people is $400. Celebrating sobriety with great speakers, meeting AA call. This is I should have got more information before I just came in here shooting from the hip, like it said on here. It's at the Doubletree Hilton in Bloomington, 7800 Normandale Boulevard, Bloomington, Minnesota. Same place that Gopher State is held at. Um, there is ASL interpreted. There's a person there doing sign language. So hearing impaired, there is. They usually have a screen up there, and there's a signer in there. So um, don't let there be any. Oh, you know what? I'm looking while I was saying that. I'm looking on here for some reason. Closed caption has been removed from here. I think it's a different plan that we got for StreamYard. But like I said, over this next week, we're going to look into that a little further. And also, the show is not going to be a full 2 hour show. I won't do that to people. You don't need to hear me blabbing on for 2 hours. Like I said, Rick or Jesse and Ashley were the guests tonight, and she has COVID, and I found that out at about 8 o'clock this morning. So I called the backup. I always have like 3 or 4 people that are willing to hop on the show whenever as a backup. And the first one, he's on his way down to a fishing tournament, Bob, and he couldn't do this. So I reached out to Rick, and he had something else going on. And then there was 2 other people that said they were coming, and I don't want to say their names because so far it's no call, it's a no show. It's not their fault. I asked them at the last minute, and they said, "Oh yeah, we'll be there in a half hour," and that was an hour and a half ago. So it is what it is. Right now, I'm in here solo. Elena's still out, and she will eventually be back. And like I said, I'm shooting from the hip, BSing. I had a few things we're going to talk about, and I'll probably end the show fairly early. It's not going to be 2 hours. Um, if there's questions or whatever, you can hit me up on my cell phone. I put the number on there, or you can put it right down in the chat. The problem with people listening on YouTube is that I don't see the chats from YouTube. Not yet. I will next week. We'll be able to. So is what it is. Can't do much about that. As of now, until someone teaches me how to, it's what it is. I just don't know what I'm supposed to do. See, there's my face again. Sorry about that, guys. I know how to turn it off, but I don't know how to stop it from coming back on. So that's Founders Day. If you want some more information about it, you come up to 2218. We've got the forms, the registration forms, right down at the front desk. Come check it out. The other thing, this is going to be a blast. The Alamo Society of Minneapolis here, 2218. We have a Halloween costume party and dance like we do every year, and it's always a blast. All are welcome. There's $5 at the door, and there's costume contests like every year. It's going to be a blast. I can't even talk about it without a big cheesy grin on my face. I've had such a good time at this gathering every year. The Alamo Society of Minneapolis has a Halloween costume party contest and dance. Starts at 8 p.m. There is a DJ here. Everyone's welcome. $5 at the door. $50 for the best costume for men. $50 for the best costume for women. And for children, $50. So bring the family. Dress the kids up. This is going to be very fun. And I think there's some other prizes that we've got. We've got some donations coming in for this. It's dangerous for me to kind of hint at what they could be because if they don't show up, then I didn't want to steer people the wrong way. But we've had talks of some people donating some other stuff, some gift cards, gas cards, grocery cards, what have you. But as of right now, what's set in stone is a 50-piece coming at you if you win. So come on down. It's going to be fun, whether you're dressed up or not. You're more than welcome. People come down here just to dance. People come down here to people watch. People come down here to be in the costume contest. So come check it out. 2218. I'm gonna just rush through this, just so it's on recording. And you know how there's this little ticker going along the bottom talking about, own your recovery. We're gonna have another one that talks about all the meetings that are here. It's just going to scroll through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like when you come to the club, there's a big screen TV that shows you all the meetings, what time they're at, what room they're in, what the, if it's a men's meeting, a woman's meeting, an open, a mix, whatever it is, it has all that information. We're gonna have something similar to that on here. Um, Someone approached me through the networking that we do on here, and I was in touch with someone who said they'll be able to meet up with me on Wednesday, and we'll see how it goes. Uh, Over the year doing this, we've had quite a few different people that have offered to help, and it just fell through, and that happens. It's all volunteer stuff. I don't know if that's why I'm the last man standing here or what, but it's volunteer stuff, but I get more out of it than the time I put into it. So it's worth it to me. It's doing something on a Friday night is payment enough. To hang out here with the guests that I have had in the past is payment enough. The knowledge I've picked up from the people that have been on my show is payment enough. Like, I don't need, I mean, we've had sponsors approach us, we've had things of that nature, but the majority of the time with that comes strings attached, and that's not what this is about. So, while 2218's nice enough to just let me have a podcast here and run it with their name and in their building for free, it's awesome. Like, I don't know how to ever repay that, but to sit here and share with others my experience, strength, and hope, find guests that will come on and do the same, and that's how I can give back. So that's what I do. And like I said, that's payment enough for me. The longer I'm in these rooms, the more I realize, like, the more selfless stuff I do ends up. I can look back at it and be like, damn, I was selfish on that because of what I got out of it. Whether I went into it being selfless and just doing it to help, at the end of the day, I got more out of it than what I gave to it. I don't know if that's some 12-step magic shit or what it is, but that's what's worked for me. So the more I give my time or the more I help or share what I can share, I get more out of it in return. Um, Last thing, I was handed a card. They have these cards when you walk in here, and it's aaminnesota.org. There's something called intergroup here. There's just so many different avenues for some recovery, whatever your addiction may be, or whatever your struggles may be. Find get out there and get outside yourself and reach out. It says on the bottom, like, own your recovery, own your life, fight for yourself because you're worth it. The struggle is real, man. Like, if you're dealing with some mental health, seek out some professional help. Um, if you're dealing with some addiction, get to some meetings or seek some professional help. Go get a Rule 25 or do what you can because you're worth it. Like, fight for yourself. You deserve to be happy. We all deserve our happiness. It took me a while to find it. I didn't know what real happiness looked like until I stopped doing dope for a couple years, till I stopped drinking, till I stopped smoking bud. Like, I told myself, like, I could do these things and be happy. How could I ever find out what my happiness looked like till I hit reset? Sure, that first couple months of nothing in my system, I was a maniac. I didn't know who I was. My head was so twisted. Gotta imagine, like, I was abusing shit for how many years? Let's just go with an easy number. 25 years, I was not clear. Bottom line, for 25 years, some people might, and you know what? We can even say cigarettes, coffee, whatever stimulants or whatever I was putting in my body, but it was much more than coffee and cigarettes. We're talking, starting with marijuana and then alcohol and opiates. Like, those are my killers, and speed and benzos. Like, that was me for 25 plus years without a break. Even when I was locked up, there was some type of benzos or some barbiturates, whatever it was. I have not been clear since I was less than 13 years old. So how in the hell am I going to know what anything even feels like? Well, I'm talking about me here. If you can relate, awesome. If you can get something from what I'm saying, awesome. But this is me being my own guest on my own show, and I'm talking about who I was. And until I had, let's just, I mean, I got out of Fairview after 30, 42, 52 days because I was in detox for 12. I didn't come out of there with a clear head. I was still, think about that, 20 plus years of being intoxicated, one form or another. Who the hell do I think I am that I'm going to come out of there and within a few months be able to make some decent thoughts or know who I am or find some true happiness? Me personally, it took me some time. And there's multiple meetings I go to where, like having a using dream for me or experiencing these thoughts of calling the dope man or grabbing a liter of some vodka. Like, I can't be real hard on myself over that. I share about it. I bring that shit to these people who have more experience than I have, that have had more experiences than I have had. I bring it to them. I share it. I get it off my chest. And one of these long timers made it like clear to me, dude, you sat and used for 25 years. Do you really think in 5 years it's going to go away? Like, I haven't lived life longer clean than I did higher drunk, if that makes sense. I can't expect that. You know what? In 5 years, life is so much better. For me, life is so much better. And if it's any this 5 years, any taste of it, it's only going to be better as long as I stay connected, plugged in, and doing work and open. Like, I have to listen to suggestions and try to. They say you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. Like, I do my best to ground myself, center myself, and try to hear a message. That's what we say in my men's meeting on Thursday. Is if you come to this room with it, it doesn't matter where you're at in this boat. Doesn't matter where you're at in your recovery. If you come to this room with an open mind, you will get something of great value out of it. I try to take that with me everywhere I go. Not even in rooms of recovery. When I'm around someone with some more experience than I have out on the job site, or I'm BSing with someone on the phone, I do my best to ground myself, center myself, and shut the fuck up. Because I personally will start flapping my gums. I've done that way too much. I get a little memory of some knowledge, and then my mouth just starts going. And certain people I've surrounded myself who will not co-sign my bullshit will tell me, Tim, shut the fuck up and listen. Like, you were talking, now it's my turn to talk, so listen. It was one of the hardest things for me to hear in early recovery was someone telling me to shut the fuck up. And you know what? Big Dave, Dave was good about saying that to me all the time in early recovery. It became an ongoing joke, but it's what it was. He had to remind me, Tim, shut up. Like, I had less than a year of clean time, and I'm in a meeting trying to share all this shit with all these guys. Now looking back at it, the majority of them were pretty polite to me. But I was in there on this pink cloud and yapping gums, just doing a shit ton of lip service, knowing most people need to be quiet because I'm speaking now and it's my turn to listen or talk. The sad thing is like the majority of the time, I wasn't hearing a word people were saying. I was waiting to talk. I wasn't listening. I was waiting for you to be done talking so I could talk. That's a bad habit that I had. And it's a habit I find myself getting into. I will be listening to someone talk, even with my girl. Like, I will be talking to her, we're having a conversation, and before she's even done responding about something, my head starts being like, oh, well, hurry up and finish so I can talk. That's, for me, I don't want to be like that. So it's something I have to work on. It's something these rooms have given back to me. Like, I get to try and stay focused on being who I want to be. A lot of times it's easier said than done, but I put the work in. Um, Almost daily, I talk to Dustin O on the phone in the mornings, and he'll hold me accountable to a lot of stuff. He's part of that Wednesday night crosstalk at 5 o'clock meeting I go to, and like, of course, we're a bunch of gabby bitches on the phone, but we do like talk about serious stuff. I ask him like some questions that most people would be like, dude, you're 40 years old. Why don't you know this yet? Because I don't. Because I was busy getting high or drunk all that time. And I just asked, like, hey man, what do you think about this? Like, I'm trying to think of specific things just to kind of give you depth of what I'm saying. Like, as easy as, hey man, how do you pay your bills on time? Like, how do you not trick off your paycheck when you have an extra $200? How do you make that last for 2 whole weeks? Shit like that. Like, some things that are common sense to me. Like, I know why I'm overweight. Here's a good example. Like, when I go to the doctor now, I don't even ask him like, oh, like, why am I out of breath when I walk upstairs? Well, let's see, Tim. You smoke, you eat like shit, you don't exercise. Like, I'm no dummy now. I can't scratch my like if I get a diagnosis of diabetes, I can't scratch my head and say why me. Like, I eat sugar like a maniac. I ice cream and sweet treats and eating at midnight until the last thing I'm doing before I go to sleep is a mouthful of food. Like, I know better than this. Like, those are things I know better than that, and I choose. Like, that's part of my addiction. That, like, I do think that's kind of a cop out for me because I know better. I can chalk it up and be like, oh, that's part of me, my addictive personality. If I know better, I can't use that as my excuse. I'm taking an easier, softer way of wanting to eat because it's something to do. I don't even think I'm hungry half the time. Like, whatever the case is, I'm gaining weight. I'm not saying healthy, and that's a choice. That's poor choice. I asked Dustin, like, hey man, how do you lose the weight you do? How do you do this next? He walks me through it. On Sunday night, I go to the grocery store. I buy this many pieces of chicken and this broccoli and this, and get some containers, and I cook it all, and I meal prep, and I throw it. What I'm getting at is, like, I ask people for some help nowadays, and I do my best to listen because I need to. Like, for me, that's what I need to do to find my happiness. And there's some other things that have, I don't know, not held me back, but like my past. There's a few things I wanted to talk about tonight, and it's like I don't even know how you transition into them. But my past, how do I best explain it? Like, we all have crosses to bear. You know what I mean? Like, we all have our past. We all have crosses to bear. What's more, like, I wouldn't I wouldn't trade mine for no one else's. I think I would, but I wouldn't trade my past for no one else's. Like, if you put 10 people in a room and everyone laid their crosses out on the table, everyone would be walking out with their own crosses. The same ones they walked in with. I mean, I suppose, like, it's because we're all used to our own crosses. I'm used to my past. I'm used to my own shit. Like, but I think it's even more than that because those crosses I talk about, like, that defines who I became. Like, it defines who I ended up as. It doesn't define who I am. Like, if that even makes sense. Like, my past made me who I am today, but it's not who I am today. If that makes sense. Like, my past doesn't define who I am today. Is the best way to say it. But my past made me who I am today. I mean, how shit. How do I? It's not who shit. How I wrestle with my problems and how I wrestle with my demons. Like, it's shit. Those things I've been through, that for most people builds character. Okay, like, having to face your past and deal with it. Like, I've had Rick and Jesse on, and we went through these steps. Like, we're on, I believe, step 11. Like, that means, that's we set this up so come December, at the end of the year, we're going to be on the 12th step, and we talk about we went into depth about, like, uh, resentments, about running a fifth step, about getting this shit off our chest. Like, I do. I do this work. I stick around because there's certain things that I can't. There's certain things I just can't get through on my own. Um, my past, I did some grimy shit in my past. I did some things I'm not proud of. But a lot of that griminess and them hustles and those things, like, I don't know. It sounds bad to say that built character, but like battling those demons in recovery and battling those hurdles that I set up in recovery, that builds character. Those hurdles that I've had to jump, or those hurdles of dealing with my past while clean, dealing with these things that I put into motion while I was out using, running and gunning, and that's a lot of stuff. Like, it doesn't matter what it was. I'm talking about, stealing. I'm talking about being a grimy human being not the person I was brought up to be. Lying, cheating, stealing, um, just a lot of things I'm not proud of that I was able to deal with in recovery. I was able to overcome those things in recovery, and those other things that build character or build a stronger me, if that even makes sense. It's hard. It's tricky for me to do this show. It's tricky to do this show without other people in the room. Um, I I had a list of things I was going to share about, a list of things I wanted to talk about. Um, but then on the other hand, it's like, usually what makes the show go is the back and forth with people. Right now, I'm just feeding my ego by blabbing away, and it's it makes me laugh kind of, but it's what it is. Damn, there's the video again. So let's see. I've kind of been blabbing for about 40 minutes. I'll talk about the events, some of the events again, and some other stuff. But like the audience, I always ask you guys to give some advice or give some feedback. I know a lot of you are listening on YouTube. The alerts I've gotten is like the last month or so, the majority is been coming through YouTube, and that's all right. I just don't get any of the messages, so quite a few people have messaged me directly on my cell phone. Um, but it's like it's tricky doing it solo. It is. It's not as easy as, because I don't want to feed my own ego and sit and toot my horn on certain things, because there's nothing to toot. There's no ego I need to stroke. Like, I get to be happy I'm of service. Like Brian and Henry, like the people on the feeds here. Like, thank you guys for the support. I I don't know. I got like 8 messages on my phone. I can't read them while we're on the phone because I don't have anyone else in the room. It'll be dead air, and that's not what I'm about. So one thing I found about recovery, I don't always get what I want, but I always seem to get what I need. That's a higher power thing in my mind. Like, having a higher power or having something that I believe in. That sounds similar to that, like what you're talking about, Brian. I just, being able to have this outlet to sit in here, and, like I said, I'm a gabby little bitch at times. I'm glad I didn't drink no coffee. I'm fortunate enough to be able to get up at like 6 a.m. tomorrow and drive a couple hundred miles to help someone pull a dock out of a lake and help them get some things done for the season, and then drive back home and go to work on Sunday, do some side work. I'm grateful to be able to do that stuff. I get to do that stuff. When Tad was here, like, we were real adamant about making it real clear, like, the things I do today, I get to do. Like, I'll find myself bitching about some stuff. Like I don't know, a couple years ago, I'd have been bitching about this. Like, I got the podcast till 11 o'clock, and then I won't get to sleep till midnight, and then I got to be up at 6 to drive a couple hundred miles just to go work and have to pull a dock out for someone, and then drive all the way back home, and then go to work the next morning, and blah 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 blah. But poor me, boo hoo, poor me. Selfishness is a bitch, and I find myself doing that a lot. My head. I talked about it earlier in the show. My first thoughts are some boo hoo, poor me, selfish thoughts. Like I said, I can't control the thoughts I have. I can't. I can control what I do about the thoughts that pop in my head. And I have that issue, man. My head wants to do a lot of selfish boo hoo poor me shit. It's just what it is. I will also find myself going down that rabbit hole. That's when I know better. Like I let myself sit and have like I don't know if anyone else does this, whoever's listening. I'll be in my car having an out loud conversation as though someone's sitting in my driver's seat. Like, what the fuck is that? And I do. And I'm talking, I'm yelling and I'm tripping, like, fuck you and how dare you think this and da, 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 da. I'm having a full blown conversation with people that aren't there. I know better. I know better than to sit and do that because it gets me all worked up. I get no, it's like revenge. Like revenge, you think it's gonna be what you want, but you get nothing out of it. It's empty. Me having a solid argument about someone that apparently I'm too scared to face and have this hard conversation with them because the shit I'm saying in the car by myself, it's some shit I would never say to him face to face because I know it's me, my ego, my selfishness. Um, like, uh, it's those things like the thoughts that pop in my head. Like I only have control over how I react, and it's something I'm working on. It's something I get to work on. Um, like I was saying, like we got really into making it clear that the things I do today are blessings. The problems I have today, I have good problems in my life. Early recovery, those were still good problems. When I was still having to go, when I was clean, going to court, when I was clean with house arrest shit, when I was clean and in recovery and having to go to to county or pay fines or the things that I used to really boo-hoo poor me shit back when I was using those things in early recovery. Doing that, looking back, like I was blessed to be able to do that shit. Anyone who's been in these rooms long enough, who just buried, how many people are we burying? 3 weeks ago, we just lost someone again. We're burying people almost monthly, and since COVID, it's been worse. But like, that's going down to, for me, that's like down to the bare knuckle of this all. Like, all of my woos and boo hoos and this ain't right and why me's, bullshit. I'm talking about me. That's all bullshit. I could be tits up 6 feet deep. Like, come on. That's bare knuckles, the bad of the bad. Like, I could be dead, and I'm over here bitching about having to get up at 6:30 a.m., 5:30 a.m. Bullshit. I get to get up at 6:30 a.m. and it's not because the jailer turned the light on. It's not because my cellie was taking a shit and it stunk. It's not because you feel me. You see what I'm saying here? Like perspective is big for me, and I have to remind myself of these things. A kid at my men's meeting, he was sharing a little too much. Whatever, early recovery, we get that bug, and we want to share a lot. And I get it. I did the same thing. I just told you guys about how it was like from that first year for me, and sharing all the time. But he was like, the further I am away from my last drink, the closer I am to God. All right, well, this dude was saying it to be heard, but I was listening. Like, the longer I've been clean, the longer I'm able to hear something. Like I work on it though. I work on my recovery. I do a lot for my recovery. I do whatever I can for my recovery. If it's sitting here babbling like a dork by myself at 2218 on a podcast, or if it's going to the food shelf and making some Sammies, or if it's picking the phone up for someone who's struggling, or it's as easy as showing up to a meeting and filling a seat. You might not think it's service work, but you showing up to a meeting is service work. You never know. You never know. I've had people thank me for being at a meeting. When people get clean time, I thank them for their clean time. I don't congratulate them. I thank them for their clean time. That's me. Um, I feel like I'm going on tangents now, and I shouldn't. Um, I want to thank everybody. I wasn't gonna go past an hour. I think 45 minutes is enough for me. Fucking blasey blah blah blah. 2218. That's where I'm sitting here talking to you guys from. 2218 is the place that never closed their doors because there was a worldwide cold happen. I'm sorry, because of COVID, they never closed their doors. 2218 has been here for 80 freaking years, serving up recovery. Their doors have never been closed to the recovery community. This place it saves lives. You can't, you know what? Here's a good way of saying it. You can't put a price on my life, and this place saved my life. This place to me is priceless. You can't put a price on this. My life. You feel what I'm saying? Like this place helped save my life, and I know for a fact it's helped save others. There's meetings here every day of the week. There's a daily meeting. It starts at 7 a.m. That's a weekday meeting. There's and that's AA, I believe. There's an NA meeting every night here at 6:30, which is monumental. Prior to COVID, I think there was only one NA or two NA meetings happening here a week. Now there's one every single day of the week at 6:30, and a couple other ones. Like on Wednesday, I think there's two or three NA meetings. There's young people meetings here for young people in recovery. Al-Anon, there's a Tuesday night CMA meeting that happens here. Like, there's some good meetings. There's good recovery here. They're having the Halloween costume dance party contest happening here, and that's on Sunday, October 30th, starting at 8 p.m. 2218. Come down here, be a member. Come down here. If you got court cards to be signed, come on down. Hopefully, you'll end up hearing a message or something. 2218 needs your help. Please come down and help. They, if you've got hours, community service hours, you need filled. Come on down here, dude. I'm sorry. Come on down. I'm acting like someone's in here and I'm talking to them. Come on down. Check it out. You can get hours filled with community service. Come on down here and find yourself a meeting. Like, fight for yourself. You're worth it. This is the part I'm going to tell you. Like, if someone hasn't told you, today, I love you, man. Like, I love you, girl. Whatever. You're loved. Like you're cared about. But you know what? Most of all, like, fight for yourself. You're worth it. Like, you are worth the fight. You're worth the fight for your happiness. Like, fight for yourself and fight for your recovery. You can do that through 2218. You can do that through Serenity Village. You can do that through Will Work for Recovery or any of these other numbers of Alanos out there. New Hope Alano, I go to every Thursday night. I have a commitment. I chair a meeting there. Like I shared a lot about where I go for my recovery, but there's so many outlets in Minnesota for your recovery that if you're just looking for it, it's there. It's hard to not find a meeting. There's a good probably a couple hundred a day in the metro. So, like I say, fight for yourself. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worth the fight. Other than that, man, I think I'm gonna check out. I really shit the bed and dropped the ball on getting someone in here. Whatever the case is, you're forgiven. The two that don't worry about it. It happens. I get it. If you weren't able to come in, you said you were gonna. It's okay. Shit happens. I understand. We'll get better. I'll be better. If things will lift up or things will take a change. So, what I want to also say is, anyone who's got ideas for the show, anyone want to see the show go a specific way, if there's a guest you'd like to see us get on the show, let me know. We go through stuff not to harm You know what? I'm not going to read quotes. I'm going to just say, keep coming back. Matter of fact, don't leave. Stick and stay. Find yourself. Go have an experience with this. Find yourself some happiness and keep coming back, man. Till next week, where I can't confirm the guests right now. Um, I'll try to update it on 2218's Facebook page, but we will be having a show Friday and it'll be a banger. So, till next week, adios. Bye.